Hi students, today you are doing your graded assignment on the metric unit. This is your Metriconepager. Good luck. So what you need so far is you need to take out your metric unit notes, the notes that we took for millimeter, centimeter, and meter. Take those out now. Those will help you on your graded assignment. You can always use your notes on your graded assignments, okay? So use your resources so that you can get a good grade the minute you turn in your work, okay? Now first, when you have your paper, make sure your first name and your last name is at the top and the hour you have science. So make sure that that is entered. Then let's take a look at the first box here. This first box, it says millimeter. Your job is to draw a picture of something you can measure using the unit of millimeter. So you need to think of an object that would be appropriate for using millimeters. Now, in science, we used an ant, so you cannot use an ant. You can also not use a dime. Make sure that you don't use an ant, you don't use a dime, because we use that in science. You also cannot use a fingernail or a paper clip. Okay, so think of something new that you could use to draw for millimeter. Draw it now, press pause, press play when you're ready to go on. All right, students, next, let's go down the page because we want to focus on millimeter right now. So your job now is to explain why you're using a millimeter to measure your object. Okay, so it says, I think a millimeter would be best to measure I'm going to put ant because that's what we did in science, because. Now you need to think, why is a millimeter the best to use for an ant? Here is what we wrote. An ant is tiny and less than a centimeter. So if an object is less or under 1 centimeter, millimeters would be the best unit of measurement. Then it gives you another unit to explain why that would not be good. A meter would not be best because a meter is too large to measure a small object like an ant. Okay, so there's some ideas for you to use. Press pause and fill in your millimeter box. All right, students, next, your next job is to work on centimeter. Think of an object you can draw that would be good for using centimeters. Now, things you cannot draw that we used in science. A desk would not be a good thing because we use that in science. A leaf would not be a good idea because we use that in science. So think of something original that we have not talked about that you could use to measure in science. A pencil is also not a choice. Okay, so think of an object, press pause, fill in your box with a drawing. All right, students, next, you need to do the same thing down below with your centimeter boxes. I think a centimeter would be best to measure what is your object? Because, and tell your science teachers why. Why would a centimeter be good to measure your object? Okay. Then you need to explain why a millimeter would not be good to measure your object. Okay. So pause the video, press play when you're ready to move on. All right, students, last box is a meter, okay? Think of an object that you could use, that you would use meters to measure. Now, things we did in science was a door, you cannot use a door. A car, you cannot use a car. And a flagpole, you cannot use a flagpole. Think of something different you could draw where meters would be the best unit of measurement. Press pause, press play when you're ready to go on. All right, students, and then your box. I think a meter would be best to measure your object, because, and explain why. Why would a meter be the best unit to measure your object? Then you need to explain why a centimeter would not be good to measure your object. Okay, press pause, press play when you're ready to move on. All right, students, your last job on your graded assignment. You need to take all the units of measurement that we have learned in science, and you need to decide whether they belong in the metric system or the customary system. I'm going to go through each one and read them, and then you're going to decide which box, which section they go in. So we have centimeter. Does that go in metric or customary? Meter, gram, mile, ounces, pounds, Celsius, inches, newtons, millimeters, and Fahrenheit. Okay, place each one in the correct box. Then you are going to color code them. Okay, all the metric units you're going to shade blue. The customary units you're going to shade red. Okay. If you need to rewind this video at any time to listen to explanations again, please do so. Otherwise, check in with your science teacher if you need extra help. Good luck!